Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome one and all to another long awaited, has been a long time, but now we've finally got cracking again, Lockdown Live. How the shit are you? Oh my days, oh my days. It's not looking good at the moment, man, for anybody who works in hospitality or anybody who might be a stand-up comedian, perhaps. We are absolutely fucked. Sorry, by the way. About knocking Lockdown Live on the head for a little while. The reason that I had to stop doing Lockdown is because I got a job supply teaching last week, and every night I was coming home and I was fucking knackered, like on my arse, totally fucked. And I just didn't have it in me. I just didn't have the energy to come online and to start talking for an hour, especially when I have been talking to kids like literally all day. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you've been telling kids off all fucking day, the last thing that you want to do is to come home and to go online and to start talking more. Do you know? Like, I didn't even listen to, like, I had a half an hour drive to go to these schools that I was, supply teaching in, and I didn't even listen to the radio on the way there or the way back because I just didn't want to fucking hear people's bullshit. I didn't want to have to engage. If you're telling kids to shut the fuck up all day for 5 lessons a day, you just want silence in your life. You don't want to talk. You don't want to hear anyone else talk. You just want to have like an isolation chamber around you. So that's why I didn't do Lockdown Live last week. I just fucking couldn't hack it, man. Hello to Gareth Stanley. Hello, mate. We are pretty fucked. And by we, I mean stand-up comedians and everyone working in the hospitality sector. I will have a chat with you about just how fucked I am. I don't mean I don't just mean financially and career fucked. I also mean smashing the alcohol, because the second that Boris did his speech this afternoon, as soon as I knew where it was heading, I was like, right, let's get pissed. I don't want to have to deal with this shit sober. So yeah, I'm smashing the wine back. I'll briefly talk to you about December and comedy and how that's going. I will mention also I've been supply teaching last week, and so I'll tell you the frontline story of what it is like in schools at the moment. And spoiler alert, it isn't fucking safe. And then I will talk to you about some of the other stuff that I'm doing. And if you want to ask any questions along the way, if you want to get involved in the chat, then by all means, please get involved in the chat. And if you want to send me a super chat, then that would be fucking lovely, because I am fucked. So, very quickly, just to sort of give you a bit of background, December is comedy's busy month. It's where comedians make roughly the most money. To give you an idea, I don't really want to tell you how much I made this last December, but it was a lot. It was over a quarter of what I earned all year came in December. It wasn't 5 figures, but it wasn't massively far off. You earn a shitload in December because there is gigs every night. There's Christmas parties. You do run-ins, you do doubles, you do triples. And naturally, because the demand is so high over December, comedy clubs put their prices up, and they in turn put comedians' fees up as well. So you do more gigs and you get more money in December. It's the big time to be a comic. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, well, what are you fucking moaning about, Freddie? Well, The fuck are you moaning about? If December's so good, you'll have saved some money from last December. Well, the thing is there's other months that are really bad. So December is a fucking great month for stand up. January is barren. Nobody's fucking going to a comedy club first 2 weeks of January because people are fucking skint. So, it all kind of evens out. Anyway, by losing, I knew this year that I wasn't going to earn the same money in December that I earned last year. I just sort of knew that I wasn't going to earn it, because in the back of my mind, I thought, well, comedy clubs during December are mostly big parties, staff works dues, stuff like that. That's not going to happen. And also as well, realistically, who the fuck is going to go to a comedy club after December the 15th, knowing that they might get track and traced and having to isolate for 10 days, over Christmas and not being able to see the love? It just seems like a needless risk for a fucking comedy show. So I knew that I wasn't going to earn the same amount of money that I had been earning. But at the same time, I thought to myself, well, I'm probably going to do all right out of this. I'm probably going to earn maybe, $2.5 grand, $3 grand, something like that, which when you haven't earned all year is fucking welcome. Do you know what I mean? So I crack on, and I've got that money in, and I'm expecting, to be honest, especially when they called lockdown in November, I was like, lockdown in November, open up December. It's going to be a Christmas, a winter eat out to help out is what it's going to be. And then obviously, Boris has come on TV today, and he has introduced his new system where tier 1 is, pubs are open, but it's all socially distanced and half capacities and stuff. Tier 2, no alcohol unless you have a big tea. And tier 3, nothing fucking open. So basically, in the new system, tier 2 is the new tier. Tier 3 is the new tier 2, and then tier 3 in the new system is like fucking tier 3 plus. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's all they've done, really. Now, comedy clubs physically cannot open in tier 3 in December, but they also won't be able to open in tier 2. Because if you're a pub or a club or anywhere else, if you're not a custom comedy club venue, you physically can't open in tier 2. But if you are a custom comedy club venue, you're not going to be able to serve any alcohol. You're not going to get any wet sales. And without wet sales, it's going to be really difficult for you to make a profit. So why would you fucking open? When everything's socially distanced and your capacity's affected, you're not going to open and do all that for no profit. So really, unless you're in tier 1, you can't make any money flat. The clubs aren't opening. And realistically, I don't think any cities are going to be in tier 1. I think the sort of places that are in tier 1 are going to be like fucking Oswestry. Do you know what I mean? Like random fucking places in Shropshire that house like 100,000 people. Liverpool's not going to be in tier 1. Manchester's not going to be in tier 1. And so I'm going to miss out on all of that Christmas money, and it's fucking killer. Because the thing is as well is self-employed people, we do get a grant. We get the SICE, Self-Employed Income Support Scheme, but it's 55% now. Now, originally it was 80%, and then it went down to 70%. Now it's 55%. Now, I'm not being funny, but I still can't work 0%. Like, I still can't work at all. I don't understand why it was 80% in April, but 55% now. What's changed? For me, nothing's changed. I still can't work at all. So I don't understand why I'm having... Well, the fact of the matter really is that I will not be able to survive on 55% of my taxable income over the last 3 years. It will be probably about, I would say it will be less than a quarter of what I would use. The money that I'll get on 30th of September, and that is money, by the way, to cover me for December, January, February. That money will be less. It'll probably be about a quarter of the money that I would usually expect to earn in any given December. So it's a huge pay cut. It's massive. It's a quarter of your earnings, and it's meant to last you for 3 months. It's just brutal, really fucking bad. And yeah, so I have not been able to. I mean, when I saw that on the news, it was just like, And the thing is, as well, is you'd think that I'd be fucking used to it by now, because, like, I'm not stupid. I know that with comedy, we're hardly the most important thing in the fucking world. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we've got to open the comedy clubs. The people need to laugh. It's just not on anybody's radar. And I get that and I understand that. But at the same time, man, it is just killer to constantly think, all right, we're over it. We're making progress now. I'm going to be back on stage soon. I'm going to be back earning soon. And then for it to go completely the other way and for you to lose any sort, it's like one step forward, 2 steps back. It is exactly like that. And every time you take a step forward and you feel we're getting somewhere, we're going to be back soon, 2 steps back. And it is just, oh my God, it is. I don't know how much more of that I can physically take and be like, way, you know what I mean? Like, it's getting tough. And with that in mind, feel free to donate to a super chat. I'm not gonna come on in here and beg. If you want to give us some money for a super chat, I'm not gonna fucking blame you. Like, I'm not gonna tell you not to. But if you don't want to at the same time, it's completely fucking understandable. Lord knows I'm not the only person that's being fucked up the arse by the government. My thing is, and feel free to let me know, by the way, in the chat, because not many people are talking to me at the moment. Feel free to let me know what you think about going back to the tier system, because as far as I'm concerned, and forgive me if I am being a little bit naive with this, but as far as I'm concerned, the tier system obviously didn't fucking work, because if we're just going back to the same tiers as before, we've had a month of fucking lockdown. If we've locked down for a month, if you're in tier 3, October the 31st, or whenever they fucking put in lockdown, November the 6th, if you're in tier 3, November the 6th, and then you spend a month where nothing is open, and then you come out of it and you're still in tier 3, then what was the fucking point in shutting everything? You might as well have just kept everything open and given businesses a fighting fucking chance. Johnny5 is alive, says, I seen you last year in Birmingham. You're so funny, brother. Thank you very much for that, Johnny, mate. I can't wait to get back to Birmingham soon. I never thought I'd say that I missed Broad Street in Birmingham, but I fucking do. For those of you uninitiated with Birmingham City Centre, it is fucking impossible to drive around that. It is a one-way system. It's a clusterfuck. There is traffic every which way. And parking on Broad Street in Birmingham, you might as well not fucking bother. It's impossible. However, I would crawl over broken glass to do a gig in Birmingham Broad Street right now. Oh, shit, mate. Oh, this wine, by the way, is fucking lush. Guys, if you're ever in your local bargain booze and you see this wine, absolutely pick it up. It comes Freddie recommended, 5 stars. This live stream is actually sponsored by Oggio, the wine of choice for depressed comedians. Oh, shite almighty. Johnny5 Alive said, I bet you didn't crawl over broken glass. I fucking walked over broken glass in Birmingham Broad Street. Jesus Christ above. Ian Westerby says there needs to be incentive. Tiers need to be based on COVID numbers, not just because we're in Lancashire, etc. Yes, exactly. I totally agree with you. And here's another thing, Ian, as well, is so far, the only thing that has happened is you've gone up tiers. That's all that's happened. No fucking place has ever gone down a tier yet. And so if people know that they can only go up tiers and they can never go down tiers, people are just going to stop fucking engaging with it. They're going to be like, nah, fuck yous. I'm not doing it. Yeah, it's tough, man. It's also as well, this tier system, I'll tell you exactly what is going to I'll tell you exactly what is going to fucking happen, right? So you're in tier 3 or tier 2, right? You can't have a drink without having a substantial meal, and you don't fancy having a fucking carvery every time you want a pint. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you're in tier 2, right? Or tier 3. Your mates live 20 minutes away or 15 minutes away, and they're in tier 1. What are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to fucking do. You're going to get in your car and you're going to drive all the way to fucking your mate's house, and you're going to stay there for the evening, and you're going to get drunk in the pub, and you're going to stop at their house, and then you're going to drive back the next morning. That's what you're going to do. All that's going to happen is the people that want to get pissed will take more drastic measures. They will take more taxis. They will take more public transport to go out and get pissed. Gareth Stanley says, can go to sporting events, outdoor but not comedy events. They don't think of people's mental health. They absolutely don't, mate. They absolutely don't. They just, people will be sad if their local football club has no money. It's all fucking, like, it's all PR for those guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, they know that they get a bit of good PR by saying, your local Accrington Stanley are allowed 4,000 fans in. You might be able to get a ticket, and it gives you something to look forward to. That's how they fucking play you, man. James says the tiers didn't do anything. Exactly. They did fuck all, didn't they? Do you remember? I don't even remember anyone going into a tier and the R rate actually dropping. It didn't fucking happen, did it? Everyone was like, all right, we're in tier 3 now. And nothing else happened. They weren't like, it's just such a badly thought out idea. It was only when we actually locked down in November fully that it started to drop. And because we're going to go straight back to that tier system, it's just going to come back again. And this whole month of being in lockdown is pointless. It's for nothing. It's so fucking stupid. And we're coming out of lockdown and we're like, we're coming out. We're coming out of lockdown. Let's have some food. Let's have a drink. Let's have a party. Let's go to the shops. 1 week later, your local area has seen a surge in coronavirus. Of course it fucking has. Because you've given everybody a month with fuck all to do, and then you've opened everything back up again, and everyone's gone fucking mad. I don't know how many more times that has to happen. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you want a great documentary, by the way, if you want a great thing to watch, there is a documentary on BBC iPlayer. It's called Lockdown 1.0, and it's an interview with the scientists behind the lockdown, the sage scientists, the modeling scientists, and watch that video, and I swear to God, anyone who ever says to you, well, they're just following the science, thick as fuck. I'll tell you what, scientists are genius when it comes to microbes and, infection patterns and shit like that. They haven't got a fucking ounce of common sense between them. They literally, it's unbelievable watching it. It's unbelievable. My jaw was hitting the floor at how ridiculous the common sense behind these scientists was. And these are the people leading us. And I'm not saying they're not smart people. Of course they are smart people, but they are incredibly smart in the tiny prism of what they know. Some of the smartest people that I've ever met are thick as fuck when it comes to actual common sense, and it is a shining example of that. And also as well, here's a fucking thing. So do you remember when they spoke at the beginning of lockdown, way back in March? They talked about not wanting to lock down too early because of a thing called behavioral fatigue. And they go, oh, well, if you lock down too early, you know, there's only so long that people will be able to put up with a lockdown and the restrictions, and we have to get the timing exactly right because of behavioural fatigue. Guess what? Behavioural fatigue isn't a fucking thing. They have a behavioural analyst, a behavioural fucking scientist who sits on the SAGE committee, and she gets interviewed as part of that documentary, and she's like, I've no idea why they coined that as a term. It's not a fucking scientific term. I don't know where that came from. It is mental. Lockdown 1.0 on iPlayer. Get it watched. Right. Okay, so Ian Westerby said, we'd all be the size of a sumo if we had to have a carvery every time we wanted a pint. I'm already fucking there, mate. I'm already there. Can you imagine waddling home in the night? Oh, what happened to you, John? Oh, I fucking had a heavy one last night, mate. I had 8 carveries. Fucking hell, John, you feeling all right? Oh, I think I feel a bit hungover today. Throwing up gravy. James says it's fast because we want to break the rules, but it's hard to find families to break them with. It's so dumb. It was dropping before the lockdown. The SAGE scientists are stupid. I don't think stupid is the right word. I think what it is that they are incredibly clever in the specific field, but everything else, like the analogy of human behavior, they have no fucking idea. So here's a great example of what I mean, right? So one of the reasons that they closed down sporting events originally, so they wanted to close down sporting events originally because they didn't want people congregating outside, and then they didn't. They said, oh well, we won't close down sporting events because those people, if we just close them down, those people who would have gone to watch the football outdoors are just going to go to the pub. And it's much safer you being outdoors, surrounded by people, but outdoors where there's more ventilation. It's much safer there than it is in a cramped pub where there's no ventilation and there's people. So that's the reason that they didn't close sporting events down. Now, if you'd have asked, and these are the smartest fucking scientists in the country, right? Now, if you'd have asked any fucking person that's been to a football match at any point in their life, they would have gone, hang about, mate. I get the fucking train to go and watch the match, and I still go to the pub beforehand, and I still go to the pub afterwards. They didn't fucking think about that. They had no idea. These scientists, I don't want to use the term nerds, but, you know, they had no idea that that's how people operated. They just didn't fucking... No one thought to ask a football fan, hey, what's your match day routine like? Oh, yeah, well, me and the lads meet up beforehand. We have a few jars, and then we go and get the train to wherever the gig is, to wherever the match is. And then we go and have a couple of pints in the ground outside, and then we watch the game, and then we come back, and we have a couple of pints, and then we go and get the train, and we have a couple of pints. You know, it's just... And with that in mind, they're spending, 2 hours less indoors? But they're traveling all over the fucking country. Oh, man, it's full of stuff like that. It's absolutely incredible. Go and watch it. Lockdown 1.0. Ian, what? Ian says, what's the answer then, Freddie? Complete lockdown till the 23rd of December, then lockdown again from 27th of December. No, I think that the answer, Ian, is to get a time machine, go back in time 7 months, and invest properly in testing and track and trace. Right now, I think our track and trace system is total dog shit. And I say that as somebody who's had COVID and been in the track and trace system. Absolute dog shit. And nobody fucking uses it because the government hasn't marketed it properly. It's, oh, use the track and trace app and we'll fine you. We'll fine you £1,000. We'll fine you. We'll make you stay inside. You'll be able to move from inside. We'll fine you £1,000. And it's just people have gone, well, I'll not fucking download it then. And you can't force people, and that's the end of it. Do you know what I mean? If they're going to make a track and trace app, it should just appear on your fucking phone. And then it's the end of the matter. By giving people a choice, you immediately make it ineffective. James says track and trace is gay. I don't know why that's made me laugh. Track and trace is gay. And a waste of time. If we could go back, we should do nothing. No, look, James, right? So this track and trace that we've got right now is a waste of time, totally. But a proper track and trace that is properly effective, that's been designed really well, that everyone buys into, will give you your freedom back. But everyone's got to buy into it, and it's got to be designed by proper people, not fucking Dido Harding and the rest of the fucking Tory peers' wives and husbands and mates. It's got to be designed properly, and it's not got to be fucking run on Excel spreadsheets. For me at the moment, there's not an awful lot we can do. I think it's pointless going back to the old fucking system. Look, if it was me in charge, I'll tell you what I'd do. If it was me in charge personally, right? So I would say, right, that what we need to do is we need to ring fence the elderly and the vulnerable, right? So I would say if you're somebody who is, over, say, 70, or even over 60, or if you're somebody with previous health conditions or something like that, you should be in your house, you should be isolating at all times, and more money should go to you to make sure that you can isolate. All your bills paid for. Somebody will come round with your shopping and get whatever you want. You don't need to leave your house. It's going to suck dick, but we're going to make sure that you don't need to leave anywhere, right? And everyone else, everyone who's had COVID, everyone who is young and fit and healthy and able, all those people should be pretty much going about their day-to-day routine. Yes, probably still wearing a mask in public places and places of high infection risk, hand sanitizing more often, but they should be going to pubs, bars, restaurants, comedy clubs, cinemas. They should be enjoying themselves. Do you know what I mean? And to stop people with relatively low risk from going out and engaging with the economy and putting money in the economy and getting things moving again, to me is nonsense. Just because there are some people that really need to lock down because they are vulnerable doesn't mean everybody needs to lock down. So very quickly, James says, sage scientists will tell you ID reduces death from communicable disease. Traffic accident experts will tell you that not driving reduces death. It's dumb. I'm not sure what your point is there, James. Can you elaborate on that? Rory Davis says, good evening, or what we're talking about. We're talking about the latest lockdown rules and regulations. And I'm also going to talk about supply schools and my experience in supply teaching, which I've done this last week. James says, track and trace is gay. Rory says, there's no answer. We'll all just bend over and take whatever they're selling. Yeah, you're right there. More people died in every year from 1950 to 2007 than in 2020. Why do we need to do anything? Because, James, if we don't do something, there are people who will get it really bad and they'll end up in hospital, and it'll overwhelm the NHS. I have no doubt that if we just let it rip, it would overwhelm the NHS. I think that 100%. And even though I only got a mild version of COVID and barely even fucking noticed I had it, to be honest with you, it's a roulette, it's a lottery, it's a crapshoot. And you might get it so mild you don't even notice you have it, or you might get it so bad that it fucks you. And age and, other conditions are the most reliable factor in that. But you can get somebody who's perfectly healthy who just gets, due to their genes or how much of the virus they ingested or whatever, the viral load just fucks them. So it is a lottery. Scott McCockburn says they can't force you to download an app that could help humanity, but they can throw fucking Bono's latest pile of shite on my iPhone. Exactly. If you're going to make the app, if you're going to do the track and trace, and I'm somebody who is very libertarian in my beliefs, but I think during a pandemic, you have to kind of set that aside and just go with whatever works. But by giving people the choice and saying, well, if the app tells you you need to isolate, we'll fine you £1,000. Who the fuck is downloading that? Who's going to do that? Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean that there's an app that can randomly give me notifications and I'll have to isolate for 2 fucking weeks. And then also it'll fine me £1,000 if I don't. Where do I sign? Fuck off. James says, I was on live in 2004. It was a boring year. If it wasn't for the news, we wouldn't know this was happening. Neil Webbo says, hey, Freddie, good to see you back. Hope all is well. I've missed the lockdown lives. The reason that I have not done lockdown lives is because I've been supply teaching. Now, obviously, as I was mentioning in the first half an hour of this, comedy is not coming back for a long fucking time, and the self-employment grant does not touch the fucking sides when it comes to replacing the income that I've lost, especially during December, which is my busiest month, and December's pretty much just been cancelled for me. So I am fucked. I won't tell you how much I made last year in December, but oh, fuck it, I will. I made about $7,000 in December last year, and now I'm making $0. So I'm fucked. So if anyone wants to donate $7,000 via Super Chat, then that would help. That would really fucking help. So yeah, I've been doing supply teaching because as far as I'm concerned, do you know what? I'll just put this aside a second because Ian's made a very good point. He says, your point is valid. However, how would you feel if you were in the over 60 bracket or with comorbidities having to isolate long term while other people act like there is not a global pandemic? Is that fair? Well, what I would say to you, Ian, is that those people are going to be self-isolating anyway. So whether we do what we're doing now or we did my choice, it doesn't change anything for them. So to be honest with you, in that regard, they shouldn't really give a fuck. But what I'm saying is that rather than those people self-isolating now who are living on a pittance, I'm saying instead of self-isolating the whole population, just self-isolate the very vulnerable and use that to give them extra money so that it's easier for them. I think that's a fair deal myself. James says masks are scientifically proven to make you a bumper clap fussy. I'm presuming he meant pussy. Neil Webbo has said, any progress made with the potential camping comedy weekend? Yes, there is. I am actually going to check out the camping site in the next couple of weeks, and from there I'll let you know. But I've got something big planned. I've also got planned, make of this what you want, Neil, I've also been chatting to a couple of podcasts to see whether or not we could have podcast recordings during the day and then the comedy during the evening. So if you have any particular podcasts that you like, that you would like to see a live recording of, please do get in touch. Ian says, would that not mean they will be isolating longer term or until a vaccine is made? Yeah, but it looks like we're all going to be isolating until the vaccine is ready. And the vaccine is around the corner, you know? So, I mean, for me personally, I would rather people who are really at risk isolate for 3 months longer until the vaccine's ready, but the economy not die, than the other way around. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's going to make sacrifices. Hey, I sacrificed my fucking future when all those cunts over 60 voted for Brexit. So they can stay in their fucking houses so I don't die. How about that? Do you reckon Joe Rogan is up for a two-berth caravanning reel with you, Fred? Absolutely. Absolutely, of course he is. I mean, he's just sold his podcast to Spotify for 60 million quid. But I'm sure he'll fancy a comedy festival in Cumbria. So anyway, I have been supply teaching all last week, and I'm going to tell you something right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Schools are not fucking safe whatsoever. They are not safe. Oh, for your kids, they're fine. Don't you worry about your kids. Your kids are doing great. But if you're an adult in a school right now, it's not fucking safe. No way in hell is it safe. And I'm talking about somebody, me, who has never once during this whole pandemic felt unsafe at any fucking point. I've been to pubs, restaurants, I've done gigs, outdoors, indoors, wherever you want. I've never once felt unsafe until I stepped foot in a school. And the minute that I stepped foot in a school last week, I was like, oh, we're a bit fucked. It's not good. And I'll tell you for why. Just let me quickly sip this wine. Please, by the way, do feel free to donate in Super Chat because I'm fucked. So let me tell you, right, in schools, there is no PPE available to you. You bring your own masks, right? First of all, there's no hand sanitizer stations or anything like that. There's no fucking air conditioning unit with a little UV filter that kills COVID. There's none of that shit at all. Here's what there is, right? Kids have to wear masks in corridors. Teachers have to wear masks in corridors. Kids have to stay in the same classroom all fucking day, and it's in bubbles, right? So like year 7 is in the science department. Year 8 is in the maths department. Year 9 have got the English rooms. That's what it's like, right? But what happens is fucking the bell rings for lunch and they all fucking pile outside. Pointless, right? So the teacher goes from room to room. The kids stay in the same room all day. Now, if you're teaching them period 1, they're like, hey, it's a new day at school. Da, 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 da. By the end of period 5, they're going mad because they've sat in the same fucking seat all goddamn day. They're fucking bouncing. They're standing up. And you can't even get them to sit still. It's crazy, right? The place that I was teaching, fantastic school, I can't mention the name, but a really good school that's really trying its best. They've got roughly about 50% of staff off, which is fucking mental. It's mental. To give you an idea, 50% of staff would close a school outright usually. But with this, what they've done is they sent year 8 and year 10 home, and they kept year 7, year 9, and year 11 in just to try and manage it a little bit, right? To have 3 teachers off in school is like, 3 teachers? Oh, this is fucking running rampage. Everyone's off with COVID or they're self-isolating or whatever. And here's the thing as well, right? Is the schools have a policy where if you get a fucking track and trace buzz, the minute you get that, you go home. Doesn't matter if you're halfway through teaching a lesson. The minute you get it, you fucking have to leave. You have to leave. There's no debate on the matter. There's no, oh, but I have to teach you. No, you fucking go home. So on Thursday, there was a thing with the head of science who got track and traced at 8:10. Had to fucking go home. She was like, I don't want to leave. I've got year 11s this afternoon. I've got this is their last revision before their mock exam next week. They're like, tough shit, off you go. So guess who it was that covered the lesson for year 11's science mock exam? This cunt. Yeah. And guess how much I know about physics? I'll give you a clue. Fuck all. Nothing. I had kids putting their hand up. Sir, what is the formula for translating kinetic energy to heat energy lost through the environment? I'm going to stop you there, Lauren. I've got no fucking idea. I taught Spanish, don't speak Spanish. I taught art, product design, food. The only fucking subject I didn't teach was English. And that's my subject specialism. Mate, I understand that we've got to keep schools open for the time being for kids' education. But while there's 50% of staff off, I'm telling you this now, they ain't getting an education because I don't know a fucking thing about science. I'm going through the PowerPoint that the teachers have left. And the teachers, by the way, there's one or two teachers who are just fucking superhuman, but the most of them, they're just trying to leave whatever they can. Do you know what I mean? And I have to sort of piece it together. They would be way better just sending that fucking PowerPoint to kids at home. Way better, right? So really, really difficult situation. And also all the rules that they're doing don't make sense. So here's the level, right? So imagine there's a classroom, right? 30 kids in the classroom. I'm at the front, right? Imagine the level of COVID safety that they've put in place. I'll tell you what they've fucking done, right? Number one, they've opened all the windows. So it's freezing because it's late November, but the air can flow, but it's fucking so cold. Number two, they have marked out a box on the floor with sticky tape. And every time I'm in that box, I'm fine. Every time I step out of that box, I have to wear a mask. I'm not allowed to hand kids pens or books or worksheets or anything like that because the virus might fuck it. It is so incredible. 3, then. So it is incredible, right? And the thing is you know what kids are like? They ain't getting the fucking virus, but they spread it like a motherfucker. So if you teach fucking period 1 and there's 30 kids in the room, 2 of them have COVID, well, you're fucking speaking with them for an hour. And then you go into period 2 and 5 of them out of 30 have COVID. And you're speaking to them for an hour. The viral load that you get or can potentially get is so much fucking higher. And the money that they pay you is not good. It is a fucking shit show. And I don't blame the schools at all, by the way. They are doing the very, very best. But there is no way in hell that schools, or I should say rather, there is no way in hell that children should be allowed to do their GCSEs this year because it's just not fucking fair on them. It is just not fair because they've got somebody. Oh, bollocks. I should have said 10. 7. I meant 7. God damn it. Thank you ever so much for the donation from the wonderful Everything Fen. Thank you for that. If anyone else wants me to guess a number, I guess 1,000. Thank you very much. So it's not safe at the moment to be in schools. But the funny thing is, if you have a sense of humor, the funny thing is that I don't have a fucking choice now because stand-up's gone. And so in order to pay the bills, I've got to go in a more high-risk situation. James says it is safe if you aren't wet. James, again, I've not felt at any point during the whole pandemic like I'm unsafe. I've not at any point, right? And I have done gigs indoors, outdoors, pubs, bars, restaurants. I have tried to live my life the same way that I live it and just exercise a small amount of caution, right? But in schools, I'm telling you, it's not safe. I'm telling you, it's not safe for adults to be there. I've got no reason to lie to you. And I'm not somebody, I have a history of being somebody who's like, fuck it, yeah, do what you want. I'm not bothered. It's not, mate, James, I've done a whole video about how I've had COVID and it wasn't even that bad. I barely even noticed I have it. But I'm telling you now, you go into a school and you're like, this is gonna fuck you over. So let's have a quick look. Marcus Support says the tier system just gives the illusion that they know what they're doing. Absolutely, I agree. I agree, because they get to go, oh, we're taking a localized approach. We're tweaking as we go. But in reality, it doesn't make any fucking difference. Here's the reason that the tier system is doomed to fail, right? Because they have drilled down into every fucking tiny little borough, all has its own tier. And it's so easy to go from a tier 3 to a tier 1. Take you 15 minutes in the car. The way a tier system could work is they go Lancashire, tier 1, Merseyside, tier 2, Cumbria, tier 2, and they do the whole fucking region. And they go, look, if you live in fucking, if you live in Lancaster and you want to travel half an hour to Preston for a pint, fine, I can't stop you. But most people, you ain't going to fucking bother. They've tried to drill it down too much. Rory Davis says, my kids have been sent home twice, both for 2 separately. They're both under 7, so basically they're all just licking each other's faces. Yeah, well, the thing is, mate, is under 7s, they're not going to fucking catch it. The only problem is that they are going to trace it like a motherfucker. Lena says, sounds like you had to handle the whole curriculum. Pretty much did, because the thing is usually what they'll try and do, is they'll try and put a supply teacher with their subject specialism. So out of 5 lessons in a day, you can probably expect to be teaching maybe 2 or 3 of your subject specialism. But with this, they are so last minute because everything's happening so fast. They're just throwing fucking sticking plasters over wounds that keep appearing and appearing and appearing. It is crazy. Let's see. Scott says, what type of teacher are you, Freddie? Call me Freddie, guys, or strict. I'm strict. I'm a strict teacher. Do you know what it was? Is I tried to be Mr. Strict, but the teachers, the kids just seemed quite like me. And so it kind of fell by the wayside. I'll tell you what sort of teacher I am. I am Mr. If you make my life easy, I'll make your life easy. But if you're hard work with me, I swear to God, I will hunt you down and kill you. That's my fucking mantra. Hurry up and say fucking 7 so I can go get my takeaway. 7! T, 70, 70. You heard it, 70. That's what I said. So, yeah, it has been a fucking mental time at the moment. Supply teaching is quite difficult. It's not enjoyable. I don't like doing it. The only reason that I wanted to do it really in the beginning was just to help schools out. I know that sounds a bit fucking silly. Do you know what I mean? I know that sounds a bit like, I just wanted to help. I just wanted to help schools and the children. But because I had COVID and because I had the skills of a teacher and because I knew schools were fucked, I just thought, it gets me out of the house. Do you know what I mean? But after a week of doing it and seeing how unsafe it is, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to continue. Do you know what I mean? Or if I do, it might just be 1 or 2 days a week. Mark McKean says, I did 1 live gig, 48 hours later, Merseyside went into tier 3. Knew how shit, just not to that extent. Oh, and another super chat from Everything Fen. Thank you ever so much, pal. Thank you for donating. If anyone else wants to donate, by the way, even if it's just a couple of pounds and it's spare change, here's me with my fucking hat. Please give me some money. Please. I need to make money so I don't have to go in the supply teaching schools. But yeah, I do appreciate all super chats because I am fucking fucked. Very quickly, James says, have you got a wife? No, I don't know where that came from. So yeah, it's been a crazy situation. Now, let me tell you really briefly in the last few minutes exactly what I am going to. James says, why not? Because your mum won't marry me. Let me tell you very quickly what I'm doing basically in the next couple of weeks. So I am at the moment trying to sort out some outdoor comedy shows for next year. I know that they've said, or they've kind of hinted, that we'll be back to normal around April type thing, but I think there is still going to be a space for some absolutely fucking amazing shows. James says, if my mum wouldn't marry you, you're fucked. um, so yeah, I'm negotiating with a few people. I'm chatting with a few people. Very early, irons in the fire type thing. I also am starting a podcast with the gorgeous Hot Water Comedy Club. The podcast is going to be a rebooted version of my original podcast, the Fake News podcast, where what happens is myself and wonderful regular guest Danny McLaughlin. We have a special guest every week, and we read out news headlines from around the world, and some of them are real, but some of them are fake news, and they have to work out which of the headlines are real and which I've just made up, and it's fucking well funny. We started it just before lockdown, and we were building a really nice community, and then lockdown kicked in and I couldn't record it anymore, but we're going to be starting again. It's going to be ready for release in a few weeks, and I'm dead excited about that shit. What else is going on? I'm still plugging away with YouTube. I'm doing a video at the moment. You should definitely subscribe to this channel, by the way. If you haven't already, click the subscribe on the channel. I am editing a video as we speak. I'll tell you what I fucking did, right? I found a recording from my first ever stand-up comedy set. And when I'm talking my first set, I don't mean my first gig. I mean my first 5-minute set. My first set that I would go out and go, I've got 5 minutes. I found a recording of it, right? And I've watched it and done a reaction video. And oh my God, it is fucking... Well, I'll let you make your own mind up, but that'll be ready some point during the week. So if you click subscribe, click on the notification bell, you'll get notified when that is available. Also, as well, if you want to see some good comedy, have a look at my YouTube channel and the last thing that I uploaded, which is Witness the New Normal. So it's an outdoor comedy show that I did in Widnes. It's about 11 minutes long. It's fucking great. It's one of my favorite gigs that I did this year, which is admittedly a low bar. So I'm going to crack it. I'm going to end it there. I'm going to just about finish this wine, think about my life choices. Hopefully you'll subscribe, click the notifications bell, and I will see more of all of you. But just a little check-in. Hopefully I'll do some more lockdown lives, and I will see you again very soon. Oh, as well, I'm on the Paul Smith podcast on Wednesday at 2 p.m. So if you like Paul Smith and podcasts and me, then you can watch it live on the Hot Water Comedy Club on demand, or you can listen to it like a couple of weeks later. Thank you ever so much to everyone who donated, which is literally fair. Thank you everyone who's commented and who watched and who liked and who shared and all that. Please check out my other videos, and if you like them, like and comment them, and I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.